Namaskaram, name is Saidarao. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Learn to Go Online. So, welcome to the implementation part of part 2 of the e-commerce project to create on your own. Okay. So, if you followed my previous tutorial, this one, then you should be able to complete until this part, and you should also have your own local setup as well. Okay. So, all the necessary files to continue. Okay. So, if not, I suggest you to visit these two videos. This is for the demonstration and this is to create until this part. Okay. And in this part 2, we are going to attach the functionality related to the e-commerce project. Okay, with the help of JavaScript. So we are going to attach these add to cart. Also, we are going to show this confirmation message whenever the user is going to add an item to the cart. Also, we are going to increase the counter. Also, we are going to change this button add to cart to delete. So once you click again, so we are going to delete also on the counter, and also we're going to show again the confirmation message as well. Okay, with this we are going to complete the e-commerce functionality. And in the next part, so when you click on the button, we are also going to show all the details related to our cart. Okay, so this is the agenda. Okay, so in this part we are going to complete the functionality. So by saying that, let's start today's tutorial. Okay, so the first step we need to do is for this part, we wanted to attach the header first. Okay, so let's attach the header. So let's see what HTML is needed for this. So to attach the header, the HTML needed is in this case, I wanted to use another section called I wanted to create another section with the help of div tag. So I named it as cart, and inside that I wanted to attach the text logo, because as you can see here, this is the text logo. This is not an image, but if for your brand, if you want to create the logo with the help of image, so then you should use image tag. Okay, in my case, I wanted to use h1 tag. That's fine for me. The text logo is fine for my brand, so that's why I'm using a h1 tag. But in your case, if you wanted to if you have your own logo, then I suggest you to use image. Okay, image tag, and then just provide the corresponding path related to image. So in this way you will have your own logo. Okay, and after that, so we wanted to have a button. So again, I'm going to use another div tag. So, and I'm going to name this with the help of ID. So I'm going to call this as info button, cart info button. Okay, so inside that I'm going to attach some static text. So this information is going to be changed dynamically with the help of JavaScript as soon as you have some actions from this product list. Okay, so that's all. This is the HTML we needed for this. Okay, so now we have it, but you see there is some misalignment, okay, happening. So if you followed my previous tutorial, I think now you should be able to understand why it's happening, because if you see here, um, we restricted our design to 1440 pixel with the help of maximum width property, even though we have enough space to cover. But I wanted to restrict my design to until only like 1440 pixel. That's why I limited my design, okay, with the help of that property for this grid layout. So that's why. But in case of header, so I'm using 100%. That's why it's like that. So to align it properly, so we need to apply the same properties also for the header. Okay, so you can also have this property in a global level, so that you don't need to apply for each individual elements. Okay, but for the moment, for this project, I wanted to attach individually. So okay, because since we are doing from scratch. Okay, so let's do that. So how we do that? So just by copying the name of the attribute of this section. So we need to target that. That's why we copied. And after that, after this p element. So how do I know after this p element only I wanted to attach my CSS? Okay, it's not mandatory, guys. You can write your code wherever you want. But for the readability purpose, and also for other people to make you understand your code. So generally, you need to have a top-down approach. Okay, so just like you write the HTML part. So this is the top part, and this is the second part, and after that, like you might write another div tag, so like that, right? So in the similar way, like if you wanted to see the corresponding CSS, I wanted to go top down approach. Okay, and also another thing is that if you want to become a good developer, I suggest always you need to modularize your code. Okay, so how do you we modularize? Generally, like we are going to use like frameworks like React or Angular or Vue.js. In that way, like we are going to like divide our code and keep it in different files, and then we are going to attach them one by one. But in this case, since we are doing a beginner course, so you can modularize your code with the help of comments. Okay, so I will show you how. So you can write here slash star and then star slash again. So in this case, now here you write the comment what you want. So this is not going to appear in the like a browser, okay, or any other property, but this is only useful for the developers, okay, and also for the documentation wise, if you have it, if you want to dynamically generate some documentation as well. Okay, it's going to be helpful. The comments are going to be helpful for that. Okay, so here now I'm going to name this as reset css. Okay, so I know that until this far this section is this css is related to reset css. From here onwards I wanted to start, okay, my cart section, like I can call it as header section. Okay, so and after that I can call this as product section. Okay, so you can name whatever you want, but for the meaning, I mean, but try to keep a meaningful name so that everybody can understand when they visited your code. Okay, so this is really helpful because if you come after like 1 year, then if you see the code and you know exactly where you need to look for. If you don't write like that, so all you need to do is like control F and then search for the element, and that's not a good approach all the time if you have like thousands of lines of code. Okay, so by saying that, this is a tip for the refactoring of your code. Okay, in a modular approach as a beginner. Okay, so now we need to add the properties what we wanted to. So for the maximum width property to make them align properly, so I added those and I copied from the same existing file, guys. So that's why I did that. And now if you go here, now you see it is aligned little properly compared to before. It was here, now it is here. So it is fine, okay. But if you want to stop here, it's fine. But another thing is that you see there is again there is little misalignment again. So I wanted to see why it happened like that. Yeah, I did this wantedly again. Okay, I can. So let me show you again. So how you debug? So right click, inspect, and here in the left corner you select this and then select one of the product. Okay, so this is the product item, and if you go to the computed property, so you where you see some outer margin is applied for each one. Okay, so in this case, we only care about the first element. So we have here we have like margin of outer property of 10 pixel. So because of this 10 pixel, so our header is not aligned properly. Okay, so you can solve this in two ways. Either you remove this margin or you apply a margin for or like a padding property for this start. Okay, since we already have a margin for this one, automatically it is applied because of the okay. If you see here like maximum, okay, the maximum width is 40 pixel. Because of that, click, and also margin zero auto property will give automatically the necessary left and right, okay, margin it will apply. So we should not apply here the margin, okay, if you want to apply some more. But I suggest you to create a wrapper class, because since we have two elements, otherwise like we have to apply individually. Okay, so instead of applying individually, let's apply them in a group way. So how do we do that? So let's go here again and write another div tag. So create another div as a wrapper class. So I'm going to call this as cart inner. Okay, sorry, what the heck? Sorry, yeah, cart inner. And inside that, let's move these two elements and keep them there. Okay, now save them and now target this class. Okay, so go here. Let's go here. And now let's add the property called padding left of 10 pixel. We already know how much we need to add. So now you see we have the correct layout just like the old one. Okay, but there is some font difference, and also we didn't added the corresponding CSS for the button. Okay, So let's add them as well. Okay, so how we add them, need to target again the class. So here in this case, this is an ID. So like that, and write the corresponding CSS what we needed. Okay, so this is the CSS. So there is nothing fancy here. I just added adding margin color. What is the background color I want? What is the color I wanted? What is the padding margin? And again, so I have a maximum width property. Okay, let me show you this. This one can be tricky, so I will show you that. So you see here, now I applied these properties and I have a full width of part of like 0, but I don't want this button to take 100%. Since it is a div tag, it is taking by default 100%, okay, the width, but I don't want like that. That's why I wanted to attach only like how much I wanted. So I want only 100 pixel. I know that this text cannot be increased more than that. So that's why I added that property. Okay, so with this, now we completed the header section. So we are going to apply the font later on, okay, for the whole project. Then it will going to look like the same one. Okay, for the moment, just think that okay, so I mean for the moment, forget about the font. Okay, but other than that, we have now the header and also the grid. Okay, so now the next thing is we wanted to show this button with the help of CSS on hover effect. So when you on hover, I wanted to show this button. So if you followed my previous tutorial, I intentionally displayed none that button property. So let's okay here, if you delete this property now, for example, now if you save it, so we have this hypercard as well. Okay, so now we need to make this in the center, and also we need to apply some properties to make it look like this one. Okay, so let's do that as well. Okay, so the first thing is that we need to make it by default empty. So you can also write another comment if you want here. So you can consider this as cart button, yeah, cart button section. So you can, yeah, so let's name it in normal way so that everybody can understand. Okay, so by default it is going to be not visible. So I want to make it visible only when you hover the product item. So I know that each product item have its own class. So that is this one, product list item. Okay, so let's target that class using with the help of CSS. Okay, so let's target that. So this is how you can target. So product list item. So this is the one on hover, and then the class of info. Okay, and then write the corresponding CSS. So what corresponding CSS we need? So we need to make the display property as block. So we need to show the block first, and after that I wanted to make this okay, and yeah, let's do this first. Okay, so let's make it visible on hover. So as soon as you on hover, you see now every time when you on hover, you are able to show the button. So this is the first step. But whereas here you see, so on hover, so there is nothing happening here. I'm not increasing any height for the product items, but here you see I'm increasing the height. So that is really bad. So we need to make it look like the old one. So how we do that? So this in this case, for example, this one is like in a position relative. So because of that, we are attaching some height dynamically all the time. So instead of like position, like in this case, by default, if you don't specify it, I mean, if you specify it or not, so by default, it is going to be position relative. Okay, so in this case, now on hover, I don't want to be position relative, but position absolute. Okay, so this is the property I need. So if you go now, you see there is no height increased. So absolute. So absolute is nothing but like it will generally like if it have a parent. So what? Okay, let me see what is the parent related to this one. So if you inspect again, so if you select that class, okay, so the parent is product list. Okay, so this is the parent, but for the info button, the parent is product list item. So this is the parent because this is the children of this one. Okay, so by default, it will, so if you keep this info button as absolute, by default, it will take the starting point as the element starting point here. Okay, that's why it is able to show here. Okay, so to see like in a debug way, how do we know that okay, we wanted to stop and debug this one? How do we do that? So how we do this is So if you select this item and then if you go to here in the right corner, so you see here on hover, like a double, like a dot HOV. So you click here and then select this on hover, okay, hover effect, and then close again. So now you see for this element, so it is always going to be visible irrespective of on hover or not, because we wanted to make it visible because we wanted to see like okay where it is showing, okay, and also we wanted to write some CSS related to that, okay, we wanted to see, okay, because like we here we have like a padding of 10 pixel, that's why it started from there. If we remove this padding, for example, it will start from there. You see, it is attached perfectly to the parent wherever it is started, okay. So now we know it starts from the parent, okay. So now we need to make them in the center. So how we make them in the center, so how we can make them in the center is like you can use a property called top, okay. So I wanted to make on the center, so let's say I give like top, from top I want to make it as 50%, but since if you apply 50%, it is only come until this far, because we also need to calculate the height. So in this case, you see this element height is 21 pixel, okay. So in future, like when we are like padding or margin properties and other color properties, it might increase a little more. So let's add the properties for the button first, and then we will calculate what we wanted, how long, how much width, how much from top we need to show, okay. So now let's refresh again in order to not to have that effect. So let's refresh this. So now we have the same thing, okay. So now add the properties what we wanted for the button, okay. So the button we target the help of again the same class, and then we have the button, because if you go to the JavaScript, so this is the info parent, and then inside we have the button. So we are targeting that. That's why it is like that. And now let's add the properties. So the properties I wanted to attach was like padding, the background color I want this much. So border, these are the basic properties I'm attaching. So now I have the button. Okay. So now I have the button. You see here there is again background I have another color, okay. So I see in the because of the border radius I was able to see that. So that is another thing. So now how I can remove that, so is background color transparent. So if I keep transparent, then it will by default take the parent's background whatever it is, okay. The parent background at the moment is white, so I'm going to take as white. So you see now it is making sense to have the same background color as before of the parent, okay. So now all I just need to do is keep this button in the center. So to do that, I already shown that here I need to apply a top property, so which is like 50%, but if I apply 50%, it will not come in the center, so I have to calculate. So let's calculate that, okay, as 50%, okay. Now again go here, okay. So you see it is came here until this far, but this is not good at all. Okay, let's see this one, like 50%. I think this is wrong. No, I think I made something wrong here. So let me see what is wrong. Okay, so because of, I think I need to make whether we have a relative property here. Okay, yeah, I think now I understood. So we need to also have every time, like whenever we wanted to make elements absolute, we also need to make sure the parent should have the property called position relative. Okay, if you don't have, all the time you will have something like that, some weird problems, okay. So let's do this. So now you should have like at least it should work. Let's see. Yeah, you see now it's working, but it's not in the center perfectly. If you follow, like right now again I'm going to debug that. So you see now this is not in the center of this element. If you like, if you select here, you see that is not in the center, because we also need to eliminate the height of this element, okay. So as you can see here, if you select this item, so on top div.info 83 by 35, so 35 is the height, 83 is the width. So we need to eliminate the height as well. So 35 is like, we need to divide by 2, and we need to minus that element. Then it will automatically keep in the center. Okay. So 35 is the one, right? So by 2 is always like going to be like, like 17. So we can use like 17.5, but normally don't use like that. 0.5 is fine. Okay. So in this case, like 17. pixel. So now it should be in the center. Okay, so this is how you calculate. So how do I calculate? So basically you just take the height and then divide them by 2, and then you just minus them with the help, because you see the total is like let's say 100. If you divide by to 2, it will become 50. So that 50 pixel you need to divide, you need to minus them from the 50%. Then you can keep the any element in the center, respect to the parent. Okay, so with this we completed the CSS part for our e-commerce project. Okay, so just like the old one. Okay, so now we are able to show add to cart, also the header section as well. So now only we left with the JavaScript part whenever you click on add to cart or cart. Okay, so let's do them as well. Now we are going to add an event handling for our website. So how we add? With the help of JavaScript we are going to do that. So for this, we are going to use two things, events and event listeners. Okay. So events are nothing but on which element you are creating an event. So for instance, here we are going to create an event called click event. We are going to create. Okay. That's an example. So event is nothing but an action user is going to perform on our websites. Okay. Such as like clicks, or double clicks, or drag and drop, etc. etc. Okay. So those are called, we call as events, but we don't know when the events are going to generate, right? That's why we are going to create listeners for that. So that's why we call event listeners. So whenever a user click on this one, so we listen to that event, and by using that event, we can perform some operations. Okay. But in our case, we are going to perform like add to cart or delete from cart. So those are the two operations we are going to perform. Okay. So let's see how we can do that. So to do them, like we need to attach, like I said, we need to target first the element which you wanted to create an event. Okay. So element. So this is like, if you remember correctly, like in my previous video, I told like, okay, how you can create dynamically the products. Okay. So this is the product. So inside that, I wanted to target my button. Okay. So using the query selector method, I can target that. So you here, it will take as an input as a class, or input as a class element. So this is the class or an ID element as well. So it will take the input as ID or by class. So in my case, it is a class, because since here I define my button with the help of class attribute. Okay. So you can also define with the ID, but in the ID should be unique. Okay. So I don't want to make an unique because I want to have the same button for all the products. That's why I'm using a class. Okay. So, and after that, you can add an event listener. Okay. For this button. So what kind of event I want a click event. And after that, it's going to return me some callback function. So this is the callback function it will return. And also along with that, it is also going to return me an event. Okay. So this is the event. So whenever you click on one of the products, so this event is going to be raised, the click event, and I'm going to see the data related to that. So now if I inspect, okay, so if I click on this add to cart, you see now, okay, there is a like this debugger I kept before. So I will show you how you can do that as well. So if you click on this button now, you see that event is generated now. If you wanted to put a breakpoint, so click click here, and then it will navigate there. So again, click on this 28th line. So it will create a breakpoint so that you can stop the program whenever you click. Okay, for instance, if I click here, you see now the program stops execution, and I can see like, okay, what event is I got from the callback. Okay, so as you can see, this is the event I got in the callback. Okay, so that's the parameter you keep inside between the parentheses. So we call this as a parameter. Okay, so this is the event I got. And also, if you go with the target, so what type of event I was able to generate. So the click event I was able to capture. That's the event I generated as well. Okay, and after that, I wanted to target, I wanted to see the target element. So what target element you clicked on? So this is the target element you clicked on. So this is the button, right? So for that button, we wrote right here. Exactly. So this is the button we targeted. On top of that, we wrote event listener. So every time whenever you click on this button, so I'm capturing that event. So, okay. So this is how you capture uh, any event. Okay. Not only click, but also you can change this to double click or drag and drop and etc. etc. Based on your application requirement, you change them. Okay. So now we already know, okay, what information we needed in order to add our item to the cart. So like I think if you remember correctly, so in the previous video I told these properties are going to be utilized when you click on the product. Yes, now I know whenever because you see the class is same for all products. That's why using these data properties I can distinguish where you click. Okay, so now I'm going to write the logic related to that, then you can easily understand. So before that, so we need to also, for the refactoring wise, we should create another function that I'm going to call it as add or remove product from cart. So I'm going to name this function like that, and I'm going to pass this event as a parameter for that. So since this is going to getting bigger, that's why I'm creating another function so that I can write this function definition here. Okay, so how we can write the function: JavaScript function, name of the function, and after that open parenthesis, close parenthesis, and then you can do like this. Okay, this is the traditional way of writing the function. Also, you can also do something like this as well as a shorthand syntax. So this also you can write. Okay, so this one you can call it as a constant. So like that you can also do it. Okay, but that's another way of writing the function. Okay, so in this case, so it is taking as an input as event. Okay, so you can do the same thing, console log here. It will appear exactly like before. Nothing will change. Okay, but here what I want to do. So now I know where you click it, right? So let me get those properties first. So sorry. So PID is equal to the ID. I wanted to know the ID of the product. So as you can see here, I added an ID, a data property. So let's access this one. So, okay, how we can access? So event dot target dot data set, okay, dot, okay. So the name of the property. So if you want, you can also check here if you see easily. So this is the target, and then data set is the object. We need to call so that it will return all the properties you added on this button. Okay, so element. Okay, so and you can access them as you like. So you want a PID, so dot PID. And since it is an object, I can call like that. Okay, so now I know how I can get the properties. So these are the properties I need. So in this case, I want a name. Okay, so I'm going to call this as a name because whatever the properties you give, you can access them as well here. Okay, so now I have the name and product name and product price. Product ID and product name. So after that, what I need to do? So here I need to check. I need to do two operations, right? So whenever, as soon as you click on this product, so either I need to add to the cart or delete from the cart. So first I need to create a cart object, right? So let's create a cart object. So cart is equal to empty by default. So I don't have any products inside the cart. Okay. So now either I need to add or remove. So if you wanted to add or remove, first thing what you need to do, you need to check, right? So whether the item exists in this cart array or not, right? So for that, again, I'm going to write another function. Okay. So that I'm going to call it as cart item exists. Okay. So if I'm going to pass also ID of the the ID of the product. If this ID exists in this cart, then do something. If not, okay, do another operation. So what we need to do, so we can write here a status attribute as false. Okay, so and you can return the status. Okay, so by default I am returning all the time false, so that when I call this one for the first time, it is going to return me false since I don't have anything. Okay, so I'm going to pass this one as a input, and I know that this is going to return false. So to make it success, so I'm going to keep this as like this exclamation mark so that it's going to return false. So it is true. Now I'm going to add my item to the cart. So to add an item to the cart, I need to access my like variable, like cart variables. And after that, I need to use a push method since it is an array. So I'm going to use a push method to insert a new object inside of it. So I need to attach my product now. So what information I need? So this is the information generally I'm going to hold also inside my cart because that's I'm going to use it. Okay, so once I save this, so now okay, this is a static, but I want a dynamic one. Okay, So dynamic one, right? So that's why I'm going to take my dynamic name of the product here. Okay, just like I accessed here. You can also directly give here like the price. So instead of creating a variable, you can also do like this, the price. So this is the price. You can see here data price. Okay, you should give the same name, however you represented in the data set. Okay, so here since it is all the time, it is going to be currency is going to be all the time. Here it's rupee, but maybe some products might have like another price, but generally you should not have, like, because one e-commerce project will have only one currency. So I'm going to keep this as it is. Okay, so and after that, like, you can have an image. So let's take the image. Okay, so this is the image because this is the data attribute I defined. Okay, so and after that, what I need, okay, I also need to create an ID, because by using this ID itself, I'm going to either delete or update them. When either delete or I add the new one. Okay, so I'm going to call this as ID. Okay, and then I'm going to take that input as PID. So now I was able to add an item to the cart. So after that, just to check if it is working properly or not, I'm going to console log it, the cart I wanted. Okay, so let's check so far what we wrote, whether it's going to work or not. Okay, so what we did to summarize. So since we are here, after we generate the click event, so by using this event, I'm going to pass this event as a parameter to this function. And after that, I created this function. So by taking this parameter as an input and I access some properties which I wanted, and then I'm checking this PID whether this exists inside this cart array or not. If it's not, then I'm pushing this new object into this array. Okay, so I'm adding now. So what I'm doing here, I'm doing an add operation. Okay, I'm adding a proper product to cart. So this is what I'm doing so far. So let's check. Fingers crossed. So let's leave the breakpoint and okay, let's do that. Now, boom, you see? So now we are able to add an item to the cart. So now we have dynamically added a cart item to the cart like in the previous one. But here there is a problem. So I was able to add two products, but I haven't changed any text related to this button. So this is a bad sign for the user, whether he added or not, since we can see in the console, but we should also change them in the counter, and also we should show an alert, right? So we are going to do that. And also another thing is that, so as soon as you click one more time, you see, I'm also like inserting one more time the same product. So this should not happen again. So that's why we need to write the logic, okay, perfectly. So how we do that? So what we need to do is, like, every time here, instead of returning false, now we need to loop over our cart. Okay, so this is the cart array, right? So we can loop over using for each. So this is the method. Okay, so all you need to do is for each. So let me get to autocomplete. So okay, and this is the array I wanted to loop over, and I have here. Okay, so this is the item, inner item I have. So here what I need to do is if item dot id, because since here I'm accessing as, like, this is how I'm saving, right? That's why every item will have id. Okay, so if the item is equal to whatever the id I'm passing from outside as a parameter, which is this one, then then what I need to do is I need to set the status to true. So if I do this now every time I'm checking with the help of this function. So if that, like, I'm passing this ID, right? So it is going to check in this array. If it has exist, then I'm going to set as true. If not, all the time it is going to get as false as an output. So now we need to also write the else case. So whereas in this case, now it's already there. Now what we need to do is we need to delete from the cart. Delete product from cart. So this is what we need to do. And after that also, like I said, whenever you add an item to the cart, we need to change this button text to delete, right? So that we are going to do with the help of the same event parameter. Okay, so event dot, since we wanted to change the text of this button, right? So this is the button text. So that's why. So event dot target dot inner text. So inner text, or you can also use inner HTML as well. So it's no problem at all. So I'm going to consider this as delete since it is a first time. So I added this product. So what you can do is delete. Okay. So in the same way, you can also do this one to add to the cart. So one, yeah, but again, here you need to delete an item from the cart. So which means that you need to delete if whenever you added already, then you need to delete also this object from this array. So how you do that? So all you can do is like cart is equal to cart dot filter. So filter is the method which you can use to uh, change the data. Okay. So all you need to do is like, okay, this is the each item. So this just works like a for loop, but you can change an array using with the help of filter method. Okay, so like that. And after that, all you can do is like item dot id in the same way. However, I wrote the condition here in the same way I'm going to write here. So here is just the difference is I'm going to return this all the time with not equal to id, which means that so if there is an item exists with this id, okay, don't return that, okay, which is not equal to I'm doing. So if it is equal to, then return only those items. So right now I don't want the item which is exist with this id because since it is already there, so I wanted to delete an item from the cart as soon as you if already exists. Okay, so which means that whenever you click on the delete, so I wanted to delete the product from cart and also change the text to add to cart. Okay, so that's all. So this is a shorthand syntax, but if you want a full syntax, you can also write this query into this way, so that like return item dot id is not equal to, sorry, not equal to I. Okay, so you can also do in this way. So now I return my like this array with items which I don't want. Okay, so now I think we have successfully completed the code. Let's see if it works or not. Okay, so now if I click, okay, boom, I have this product and I have this product is inserted into my cart. And after that, I change the text to delete. So now let's add another one. Okay, I added another one now. So I have a product one now. So if I delete the product one, and it should work as it is. Okay, I think it's not working. Okay, let's see what is the problem. So you see ID is not defined. Okay, we are trying to access this ID, but this is not an ID. This is PID. Okay, so let's do that again. And now if I go back, so by default, like cards are not going to be there whenever you refresh the page. So that's normal. Okay, so add to cart, again add to cart. So I have two items now. Let's delete this item. Okay, so now it is changed to add to cart. I think we haven't console log, that's why it is not working. Okay, so here let's go console log here so that every time I console log my cart, so in the console like I should see. Okay, so one, two, and I have two products. And again, if I delete one of the product, so I should have only one product and see I have it. So with this, we completed the functionality, but also we need an alert. So that is easy, very easy, that one. So all you need to do is alert. So, so you can say here, you are able to add product, whatever the message it is. Okay. You are able to add the product. You are able to add the product. Okay, so that's it. And also whenever you delete, also you need to write an alert that you are able to delete delete the product. That's it. So you can change this message as you wanted, no problem at all. Okay, so now we are giving a consent, I mean we are giving a confirmation to the end user that whenever you add or delete from the cart. So also, okay, now let's do that in action. Okay, you are able to add the product. Okay, now something is working. And again that one, okay, you are able to delete the product. Okay, perfect. So it's working, but also we need to change this counter, right? So this is again another easy part. So all we need to do is like every time here, so we need to change this text, right? This text we need to change dynamically. So in order to change this text dynamically, you need to have a reference. So let's add a reference again here, just like we had a reference here. So this is like var cart count. Okay, so I'm going to name this as cart count. and after that document dot get element by ID, and this is the name of the element. So now I have the reference. So let's do this one. And here, every time, so when you add or remove, so all you need to do is card count dot inner text is equal to cart, okay, and afterwards, so you need to add the count. So how you can add the count? Cart dot length. So that's all. So if you do this, now everything should work, okay, as it is. So add to cart, okay, cart one, and if I add one more, cart two, okay, there is something from the wall. So I wanted also put parenthesis between. So how we can do that? We can do the string concatenation. So this is how you do it. Okay, so and then you can also do this one. Okay, and also I wanted to comment my console log. I don't want to see the console now since I'm able to see here the counter is increased or not. Okay, so that's it. Wow. Okay, and delete an item. So this is how you can add a functionality to your e-commerce project. Okay, I hope you learn how to create your own e-commerce on your own with the help of HTML and CSS and with plain JavaScript. No framework, nothing. Okay. So I hope you learned something out of this topic as well from the second part. So we are going to continue this project to create the preview as well. Since you click on this one, I wanted to show you a preview of the cart since because the user also wanted to see what items he added, not just the counter, right? So we already know with the console log what items are inside the product list, I mean cart list. Okay, but we need to show also to the end user. Okay, so with that, we'll complete the application. So see you in the next video where I'm going to explain that. Okay, as well. So I hope you learned something. So if you learned something from this video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Okay, Dream to Online, which is this one. Okay, so this is my channel. So if you like the video and if you learn something out of it, don't forget to like this video and comment down if you like something. And if you want me to improve something, also comment down. So I will see all those comments and I will improve myself as well to teach you better. Okay, so see you. Bye bye.